Rich.
And where are you from, Rich?
Cecil County, Maryland.
And what brings you in here today?
I was asked for an interview for a
This is to talk to other people, other kids your age. Our target market, Heroin Project, which is 13 to 25 years old. Explain your life circumstances and so forth. What brought you down this road and so forth. Have you ever been addicted to heroin?
Yes.
And how long have you been on it?
Heroin 3 or 4 years. Opiates about 8 or 9.
How'd you start out on the drug road? How old were you?
10.
10. What did you start taking?
Started with cigarettes and cannabis.
Was this something you got in school? Did you get from friends?
The cigarettes I stole from my parents, which is pretty typical.
Mm-hmm.
But I sought out people older than me to get a hold of anything illicit.
Okay. You got the cigarettes from your parents. How'd you get the pot?
I knew a few people that were older than me, high school level. They were able to find it from people older than them in the upper class.
How many kids your age at that point were doing what you were doing?
None that I knew of.
None that you knew of?
Yeah, I was the one that attracted all of them into what I was doing.
Did you see any harm in it? Did you see, what were you getting out of it?
Fun.
Fun.
We were just kids, and I wanted to share this great new thing I found.
Okay. And did it help you make more friends? What did it do?
Well, as far as people older than me, I found out that everyone I knew was already smoking pot. It had an effect to the friends that I already had that came around a lot more often.
Okay. Did they, for how long did you, when you first started using cigarettes, you started using pot, whatever it was, did you notice a difference? Maybe like most kids like get sick from it and so forth. Did you notice a difference in your reaction versus anybody else's?
I was too high to notice what they were doing.
Did the cigarettes give you a buzz?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Did you notice that the other kids are sick or something from it and you weren't?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. You're 10, you're starting out a pot. When did it become a regular thing for you?
By the age of 11.
11. How did you get it? How did you get the money?
The money was always stolen from one of my parents, usually. Other friends would steal it from, other people who had money. Usually we would put our funds together at the end of the week and see if we could, get enough to last through the next week off of that.
How much money were you spending a week at that point?
Not too much, like $80 or $100.
Was that hard to come by?
No, not at all.
How much did that get you as far as weed was concerned in a week?
Well, that's going to depend on, quality and who you're dealing with. That could be as much as, an eighth of an ounce to an ounce.
Time moves on. You're 11, you're 12, 13. Does anything change in between there? Do you progress up to other things at that point?
Nothing more than like maybe Tylenol 3 with codeine.
Okay. Was there a changeover point? Like maybe 14, 15, 16, we're going up the ladder here. You're getting older. You go to bigger and better things.
14.
14.
Yeah.
What did you go to at that age?
well, 14 when I'm a freshman in high school and everything's available. Um, when I was 14 through the winter was the first time I tried cocaine. I developed a DXM habit with a cough medicine. Um, we were doing Percocets, smoking PCP, just high school, the supermarket for narcotics.
Did you have the parties where you ever put the pills in the bowl and everybody takes them, the raves or anything?
Not at that age. I also wasn't willing to share like that.
Okay. Um, so now you're in high school. Is at any point you come along, you say at that level, it's like, I need to really back off here. This is getting out of control.
No, not at all.
No.
Anything more was always needed.
Okay. Did you ever have any physical, mental problems, anything like that? Did you notice, or was it just a daily thing? Was it just a daily lifestyle?
Well, after too much speed, you get tired of being so up, and so you take a bunch of downers and go back down. But physically, it was just exhausting being too much up, and then it was boring being so far down. But I'd say that was more of a mental state than anything physical.
Where are your parents at while all this is going on?
Well, I suppose my mother would have been at home tending to things around the family land, and father was a president of a pretty well-off company, so he was rather busy.
Your mother couldn't tell any changes in you, or disposition changes, personality, or anything like that?
There was a red flag flown up when I got arrested for the first time as a freshman.
And what was that for?
Possession of marijuana and paraphernalia.
And her reaction was?
That I wasn't allowed to hang out with the two other guys I got arrested with.
Did that have any impact on you?
Yeah, for like a month and a half before we were allowed to see each other again. She's a very patient person, so I was able to wait that out no problem. So really no consequences in my eyes.
And we're moving on. Now you're moving into junior, senior year, and so forth. Is anything else progressing?
Lots of club drugs.
Such as?
Ecstasy, ketamine. That was around the age that I first tried crack. But more so into the disassociatives and psychedelics. With, an edge of pill use, but I don't really qualify that as the start of my habit with them.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever get into any other problems during that time? Did your behaviors change? Did anything show up? Teachers notice?
I'm sure they would have if I went to class.
Oh, okay.
But I got all the difficult credits out of the way, freshman and sophomore year, and nothing but art and foreign language junior and senior.
Okay. So you get through high school, and then what happens?
Well, then my father's terminal, and I'm his primary caregiver, and that's when I get into oxycodone 30 milligram.
Where's Mom at?
Probably back in her room trying to forget her troubles.
Doing?
Sleeping, drinking, trying to spend time with her friends and family.
Okay. And because of your father's illness?
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty traumatic. How'd you get the oxy at that point? From your dad's medicine supply, or what?
A childhood friend of mine. He was the one that exposed me to them first, and I always used him as a channel to get them for myself.
Were you just taking it orally? Were you sniffing it?
That was all insufflation.
Okay. How long you're taking this and so forth? How long does that go on? Your dad's ill and you're doing this and so forth. But you're not thinking about going to college or anything because of all this stress that's going on?
Well, I declined all the colleges that I had gotten accepted to stay back and be his caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
College is always on my mind. It's just, well, I can't go to college if I'm addicted to this. I can't go to college if I'm addicted to that. And let's find another reason why not to do it.
Okay. So these were walls you put up. It wasn't because you couldn't get in. It's just...
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you doing? What's your life like? Are you working? What are you doing other than caring for your dad? Which I'm sure was quite a bit.
That's a 24-hour job.
Mm-hmm.
Hospital bed in the living room, air horn on the table next to it. Anytime that goes off, I need to be right there.
What did you need to do?
The most common request was to move his foot for him, because it would hit up against the footboard of the bed and he couldn't move.
At any time while this is going on, is there any regrets or your emotions just caught up in what's going on with your dad? Do you see what's happening to you, or?
I don't see what's happening to myself, but I notice daily changes in my father, but that is related to his disease.
How long did that take to take him down?
From March to December, he went in just under 9 months.
That's a pretty traumatic experience.
I was pretty hung up on it for a while.
Yeah. And that's kind of like your rock, I would assume. What do you do then? What do you do? Where do you turn?
Well, pill use picks up, drinking picks up, any form of narcotics just, picked up. I was doing a lot more than I had previously.
At any point do you realize that, okay, it owns me, I don't control it?
I don't realize that until I'm in my 20s.
At what age and why?
Probably around 22, when I try to stop and I can't. But before that, there really was no desire to stop.
And what precipitated the need, or what arose that made you think you needed to stop at that point? And where are you at? What are you doing? What are you using?
I was using pills and heroin. I was using cocaine. I was using, there was a lot of scotch involved. Still smoking cannabis every single day, along with everything else.
So now you're a multi-drug user. You're really out there with it.
Well, I've been a multi-drug user since early high school. Parties aren't fun if there's only one invited.
Were drugs like a social medium for you?
Sometimes.
Do you ever reach a point where you just recluse with them and it didn't matter who was around? Or was it always a social venue?
Well, it really depended on the day and the mood. If I wanted to use with somebody else, I would let them know, and more often than not, we would use together. Or if I just wanted to get as high as I possibly could, then I would buy as much as I could and use as much as I could. Sometimes I didn't feel like sharing.
is there anything that just you felt as a vacuum growing up that was missing and you were trying to fulfill with it?
Well, I was very socially maladjusted when I was younger. I didn't really come into who I was until about halfway through high school. But then I get into high school and then I'm lacking intelligent conversation. So,
From what basis you lacking intelligence? You certainly don't seem ignorant to me.
yeah, but everyone else was.
Meaning,
All my friends were idiots.
okay. And do you want to define idiot for me?
Not as smart as me.
Okay. So we're talking about that particular arena as far as what?
Well,
Smart meaning?
it was going from the realm of one of the top schools in the nation to going to a backwoods public high school.
Okay.
It's a lot easier to find and use drugs in high school than private school. Because I was the only one using drugs in private school. But public, I remember talking to a person asking if they smoked pot, and they said no, and I was completely astounded. It's the only person I knew that didn't smoke pot. The conversation didn't last long. Didn't care to talk to him too much after that.
Sure. So now we're back up. We're 22. We're 23. When do you hit the brick wall, so to speak?
I really hit a wall when I was about 24, I guess. Because it was the option of rehab or my mother was going to call the cops on me for theft. And I had stolen a couple $100,000 worth of valuables from her. So rehab sounded a lot better than the cops.
Okay. The theft and the thievery had been going on for quite a few years. It wasn't something new. It just accelerated to a level that was unacceptable to her.
I think it was way past unacceptable.
Okay. What kind of effect did it have on Mom?
There was no trust whatsoever. Locks being changed all the time because I kept defeating them. She had a hard time leaving the property, but I would always know when she was gone and sneak by the house real quick and get in one way or another and get out and leave before she gets back. That could be done in the time it took her to get a pack of cigarettes from the liquor store.
At this point, it doesn't matter what you're taking, or is there something you really have to have over anything else?
I went for a lot of gold. Get you a lot at the pawn shop.
No, I meant as far as not the theft, but as far as the
No.
drugs list was concerned.
Mostly heroin,
The heroin.
with a side of alcohol and cannabis.
Did she know you were on heroin?
I'm sure she did. I mean, I wasn't the first person in our family to do heroin, but she wasn't having constant contact with the other one, so she didn't get any of the early warning signs.
What did she miss?
Um, Everything until she noticed valuables were gone.
What could she have found? What could she have discovered that was right there in front of her?
A drawer full of used needles. The all the missing spoons out of the silverware drawer in the kitchen. There's plenty of forks, plenty of knives, and like 4 spoons.
Yeah. Did you go to rehab at any point?
Oh yeah. I first went October 22nd, 2012.
And how'd that work out?
I relapsed the same day I got out.
Did you ever,
I think I got a lot out of the program, I just didn't apply any of it. So it's not the rehab's fault.
how long were you in rehab that time?
That was a 28-day program.
28, oh, wow. Was that your choice, or was that was her ultimatum to you?
Yeah, that was not by choice, and you can't give a junkie an ultimatum. You will lose. They will always choose the drugs.
At that point, you're pretty much over the bridge. I mean, it's...
Oh yeah, I couldn't have anyone help me. I would need to want the help for myself.
Do you think there could have been some intervention previous to that that might have helped?
Helped? No, but there could have been one.
There was nothing, no paradigm, no synopsis that might have changed it all around for you previous to that.
No. I was pretty well set on my path at that point. You know, nothing would have opened my eyes up. You know, finances were failing, people were dying left and right. And I was pretty well acclimated. So there couldn't have been just one sudden action of, oh damn, there's a problem. Because there was constant problems and whatever. I've got my fix. Deal with it next Tuesday.
Even going back in time, junior high school or middle school or high school or whatever, there was no time, no place that you see in your mind that anything could have changed this for you.
Well, I'm really good at making up excuses. Throughout my entire pill habit, it was, well, I'm never going to end up like this person and use heroin. So it was, well, this isn't a problem. That would be a problem. Until I get to the next stage and, well, this isn't so bad, but it'd be really bad if.
Did you ever have a fatal or near fatal OD?
Yeah, combining benzodiazepines and heroin.
What happened then?
Not too much from my recollection, but I eventually woke up.
So we're here at this point and so forth. How many times have you been in rehab?
5.
5 times.
Yep.
And were they all 28-day stays, or?
No. I had a 28-day stay, a 30-day stay. One time I left after 6 days. Then I had another 30-day stay, followed by a 16-day stay.
And to date, that your longest stay is?
Well, I kind of combined the last two of the 30 and the 16.
So you have 46 days?
In rehab, yes.
Yeah.
But as far as sobriety goes, I've hit 5 months. That is by far my longest. Because every other time I relapsed the same day I got out of rehab.
And what's different about this time?
I did not give myself the option to. Normally I would just leave a little bit behind and be like, no, I can talk myself down by the time I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Which never happened. I would go straight to it and use. I also have a desire to better myself and stay clean this time. Because no one can help me, I need to want the help. And I actually want it this time. And I've got my head in the game. I'm working the program that we used to stay sober. And that's been endlessly beneficial.
So the only real change is your desire this time that's getting you through this length of time.
Yes.
What do you foresee as the future? I mean, versus previously, and what's changed there?
well, now I'll be able to apply myself to the workforce. I'm planning on actually attending college and getting a couple degrees, um, and just generally being a citizen that's, worth their tally mark on the census.
Has the relationship between your mother changed at all?
Oh, yeah.
How's that changed?
Um, she doesn't cry out of fear when I leave anymore. She's genuinely happy to see me. Um, there's a level of trust that's been rebuilt.
At this point, this many years, what have been the long-term effects to you? Emotionally, physically?
Well, I was emotionally shut down from late teens to mid 20s. So, emotions are new. I haven't experienced them in just under a decade.
Is that scary?
Sometimes, but it's also exciting.
Okay.
But
Um,
physically, my teeth are absolutely shot. And that was more so because of the crack than the heroin. Because, the heroin, sure, they were falling apart, but then the crack just destroyed them.
so we've got that physical damage. And what else?
It's really hard to say because I never messed up my skin or my veins. I was very meticulous about that. But, my growth has been stunted. I'm, edging my late 20s, and I still don't even have peach fuzz. I should be like 6'4", 6'2", around that area, according to my genetics. And I'm 5'7". Just still have the body and the mind of a teenager.
True. Do you know why?
Um, well, more or less everything was halted and to a certain extent regressed.
Do you think other kids need to know this out there?
Yeah, I believe so. If you don't want to remain a little kid well into your 30s, then drugs aren't going to help that. They will not allow you to grow up. I mean, crack will riddle your skin, but that won't, mature you.
Do you feel like you've lost out a lot in your life?
Yes, quite a bit. I've lost plenty of opportunities. Um, I lost out on my dream job. I lost out on a very valid work field with that. Um, as a musician, music really died off until it was nothing, and it happened pretty quick. Um, my education should be, above and beyond what it is now. I'm accredited in 2 classes. I should, at least have a master's by now.
How would life be different
Um,
if drugs hadn't come along?
well, I wouldn't have lost, all the family connections that I've had. I've got a bunch of my cousin's children that I've never even met that are like 7 years old now. So, I was always very close with my cousins because I never had brothers or sisters. So I should be close with their children as if they were, my nieces and nephews. Um, I really don't have anything beyond a high school diploma. So employment is at entry level at best. And being able to go out and play music freely, that opportunity stopped, and that wears on the soul.
Your hopes, your dreams, all that vanished.
All my hopes and dreams. I want to have multiple PhDs and be a rock star multi-trillionaire.
Life's not over, is it?
No, not at all. Life just started a couple months ago.
No, I do hope you don't end up like most of the other kids I know your age.
I hope so as well.
Because that's what you're playing with, it's death.
I've witnessed it firsthand plenty of times.
If you get through this, and I hope you do, how long do you think it's going to take?
To get through addiction?
To get through to the point that you start feeling solid about yourself.
Well, I already love being me, and there's plenty of material things that I'd really enjoy, like certification of accomplishment, and the house and the dog and the car. But I can be perfectly fine with what I already have, as long as I'm spiritually grounded.
Having a belief system really helps, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's the core of everything.
You didn't have that before.
I thought I did.
Yeah. It's a tough world out there today, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And you have drugs all around. You have a drug culture. You have drug music. You have peers that use it. I mean, you're not a minority, unfortunately.
No.
Is there anything parents, kids, a message you could give to any of them? And what would it be?
Unfortunately, children don't listen to their parents.
But they might listen to you.
Well, I should have been listening to my parents, been following the examples of, my peers. I was always one to learn from their mistakes. And even though I drank every single day, I didn't drive drunk. But then I had a family member who was also an addict, and I completely ignored the obvious signs that I was heading down the same road. So the writing on the wall is put up in bold letters. You just need to be able to read it.
What about parents? What could you tell them?
Well, parents need to look out for the early warning signs.
Which are?
Well, if a child's going to be heading down a road like this, typically it would start with something as, simple and common as a few missing cigarettes out of your pack. Because, you smoke a cigarette at a really young age, you're going to get a nicotine buzz, which I think is the original gateway drug. That's going to lead you on to further things, like it led me to cannabis, to opiates, to psychedelics, dissociatives. Just looking for that next altered state to experience something new. And if I could have really been stopped at cigarettes and cannabis, then I don't believe I would have moved on to anything else without a solid baseline of the more or less simple drugs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope it saves lives. And that's what Heroin Project is all about. Okay, that's a wrap.